the client loses confidence. They lose trust. You have to get behind your customer and provide them with the confidence and the support so that they can believe they've picked the right person. And this has to happen throughout the entirety of this whole process, right from the first day you walk in that house, right, where you're trying to gain their trust. So you spend the first, 5 or 10 minutes having a chit chat conversation. And at that point, it's either going to go up or it's going to go down, even if they hire you. And so the most important thing is you want to maintain their pulse. You want to maintain that relationship. And it requires a lot of communication. Okay. Respect is earned. You don't deserve respect. It's earned.
Welcome to the Onsite podcast. We chat with contractors, educators, industry professionals about the good, the bad, the ugly, and everything in between. So without further ado, let's fucking get into it.
What's up? Welcome back to the Onsite podcast. We are on episode 2 in our series of 8. And today we are going to talk about how clients decide if they respect you. This is going to be a great conversation because most contractors actually feel like they need the customer more than the customer needs them. It's quite the opposite, actually. The client has called you to do a job for them or service for them. And so they actually need you more than you need them. And I think we have to really play this in the proper perspective, because when we start, bowing down to the client, they don't actually trust us. We're not commanding authority, and a client wants to respect you. And the best way for them to respect you is by showing confidence and control. And so that's why this episode is going to be so good for you. So some contractors end up getting pushed around on price point. This is because the client is in control and the client actually doesn't respect you. And so I'm going to talk about why some contractors get pushed around and why some contractors don't. So the contractors that ultimately get pushed around on price point is a defense mechanism. So let's say that you're going to look at a project, right? And you project how much something is going to cost, and you feel that reaction, that, that initial connection to the client, and they're just like, that's outside of our budget. And then immediately the contractors that get pushed around on price, immediately those contractors adjust their price. They come down in price, which has opened the door for more. Right? You've opened the door for that client to be consciously aware that they could actually take a little bit more from you. So they continue to poke and poke and poke at you until they get what they want. Meanwhile, you're getting fucked around, basically, not getting what you need to actually successfully complete the job. And then failure is inevitable because there's not enough money on the table to actually do the project. And so this is kind of what happens throughout that process. There, at some point when you're navigating an estimate or a project with a client, if you start dropping your price, okay, you lose control. I'm not saying that you can't come in there with a special offer, with some type of promotion. You want to deliver value. You want it to be so valuable where it's almost like the comparison of a Lamborghini for $100. If I had a legitimate Lamborghini and I said, hey, I've got this Lamborghini, I'm going to sell it to you for $100. It should be a no-brainer. Yes, I want to take it, knowing that it's not a scam, right? I got this Lamborghini, it's $100. You're like, how is that even possible? How can the value, knowing the value of this Lamborghini, be in hundreds of thousands of dollars, but you're going to give it to me for $100? I'm stupid not to say yes to this, or people are going to think, what is the catch? But it's better for you to have a great opportunity that your client can have access to so they can see the true value in what you're delivering. And by doing this in a strategic manner, you command respect and authority from that client. Now, we're not giving away a Lamborghini for $100. Okay. We're showing the value of our service. That's what I'm trying to get across. We need to show how much value we're truly delivering so that it's easy for them to pay that price, right? We can't just take away and devalue the services that we're providing. And so this is why a lot of contractors fail, is because they mismanage those conversations. They mismanage those initial conversations where the client is really, they're not into it. They're just not into it. They don't believe you can do what you're trying to say you can do. And so if you want to gain control, if you want to command authority, and command a price point so you don't get bickered on price, you go in there confidently. You listen to their problem, right? Whatever they might want. So I'm going to use the Lamborghini thing for a little bit longer here. Let's say that they're like, I really want a Lamborghini. I want a yellow Lamborghini. I would never get a yellow Lamborghini. If I even could get a Lamborghini, I'm not going to get a yellow one, but I want a yellow Lamborghini. Okay. Sounds good. Why do you want a yellow Lamborghini? Why do you want whatever it is that we're trying to sell to them? And you have to figure out, what is the direct pain? What is connected to the emotion of this decision? Why are they willing to make this investment today? What drew them to you to come there? And as soon as you can listen to them, right, you want to get really good at listening before speaking, get really good at listening, understand and interpret and live that emotion that they're living. Maybe they've been talking about doing this project, whatever it might be, for the past couple of years. And they've hit barrier after barrier after barrier. And so they're afraid. Their guard is up. They don't want to talk to you. And then boom, you come in and you put more guards up. You're going to lose their respect. But if you listen to them, and you can understand where they're coming from. And then once they're done talking and you fully understand, then you project exactly how you're going to give them whatever it is that you're trying to give them. You're going to say, I can give you this Lamborghini for $100. Try to disconnect the Lamborghini, please. Okay. But I can help you bring this project to life. This is exactly how I'm going to do it. And then you're waiting to feel their confidence in your ability to help them do that. It can't be geared around price point. I mean, price is important, but there is always going to be a cost for a service, right? There is a cost for labor, there is a cost for material, and there is a cost of business. Now, anyone that has a brain as a client understands that there is a cost for these services. And as soon as you start pulling away from the cost of that service, you pull away from the quality. That is how it has to be. If you want to change the price, you're going to change the service. Okay. It can't be change the price and keep the same service. It isn't the same thing. And so you can command respect from your client and gain their respect once you provide them with trust and authority and confidence and direction. So the other part to this is, that you're building that first impression, right? That connection to the client so they can make their decision faster, more economically, more confidently. And so that decision usually happens within the first 10 to 15 minutes. And here's most contractors start to go the other direction as they continue to talk, as they continue to blab, as they continue to overanalyze, over-explain. They talk themselves into a corner. They can't actually validate what they're talking about. They don't actually know what they're doing. And so they over-communicate, and the trust and the impression changes throughout the entirety of the rest of that discovery or that meeting. And so you have to be consciously aware of how you're navigating these conversations. They don't want to work with you. Most people think that just because the client called me to come and look at this doesn't mean you're going to be the guy to do it. They probably are looking for excuses why they don't want to hire you. And so it's important for you to manage their expectation, to manage their impression so that they can make that decision more efficiently. Contractors lose these opportunities every day. And I truly believe this because they believe that they are entitled. There is this level of entitlement that they believe that just because they're good at doing something means that they deserve everything. And they start to talk with that defensive language, protecting their integrity, they believe, or whatever it might be, not acknowledging, what the client wants. And so they lose these opportunities regularly because they don't believe enough that the client is actually the person that's there to help them bring this together. If you provide a service and value for a customer, they will stand behind you. But if you become defensive, argumentative, and, create barriers and challenges and, a bunch of no's, I can't do this, or no, you can't do that, the client loses respect for you. The client loses confidence. They lose trust. You have to get behind your customer and provide them with the confidence and the support so that they can believe they've picked the right person. And this has to happen throughout the entirety of this whole process. Right from the first day you walk in that house, right, where you're trying to gain their trust. So you spend the first, 5 or 10 minutes having a chit chat conversation. And at that point, it's either going to go up or it's going to go down, even if they hire you. And so the most important thing is you want to maintain their pulse. You want to maintain that relationship. And it requires a lot of communication. Okay. Respect is earned. You don't deserve respect. It's earned. You have to give your client the confidence that they can stand behind you. And this takes time.
Hey, we've got an ad here. Make sure to pay attention. What's up, guys? Are you a contractor or business owner looking to take things to the next level? Well, I've got something for you. The Elite Builder Society is a community that helps contractors grow and scale. For $49 a month, you can have access to 20 group coaching calls. Look, you're probably wondering, how am I going to show up to 20 calls, Brandon? That's a lot. And yeah, it is a lot for $49 a month. But every call is recorded so you can watch it at your leisure. But you get the best experience when you're live on the call with us. Okay, at the end of every webinar, there will be a Q&A where you can ask the industry expert questions that you can implement into your business. Look, if you're ready to take things to the next level for $49 a month, go to ebsworks.com and register today. I look forward to seeing you inside the community.
So in the initial stages of, this discovery or this opportunity from the client's perspective, because I've been a client as well, right? I've been a contractor, I've been a client, I've been both. I've been both sides, and I've worked with lots of people, so I understand the psychology of both sides. I believe that the client is, they're positioning you to determine whether or not they are comfortable and confident to use you to help you solve whatever this problem is. And they don't even know how to necessarily solve the problem. They just know they want something. They want this or they want that. And so in their mind, they have this vision of what this is all going to look like. And you can go two different directions in that moment. You can go the complete opposite direction, which is further away from what they actually want, or you can hear them, right? You listen to your client, get really good at listening, listen to your client, and then find a way to help them. You want to help them bring that together. You don't want to tell them, you want to help them. And I think what happens is contractors fail to understand that they are actually there to provide a service for someone else. And so they have to help them solve that problem, not tell them how they're going to do all these things. Because those things that you're talking about might not even be things that they want. They may be things that you've interpreted that they are expecting, but they don't actually want that shit. They want this other stuff, and it's because you haven't listened. And so, the premise around respect, honestly, is just listening. So when we're talking about pricing, right, when you're estimating a project, when you're trying to discuss the numbers, if you fumble that initial conversation about commanding trust and authority, about commanding that you're capable of helping them with their problem, helping them solve whatever it is they're trying to do, if you fumble that initial part, later down the road, when you start projecting your prices or the cost of doing this service to help them, they don't believe you. They think that you're trying to scam them. They think that you're trying to, overcharge them. And so they don't trust you. And so a lot of times when you hear a contractor say, oh yeah, we were too expensive, they went with another guy. It's not that you were too expensive, it's that you fumbled the conversation. You screwed up the framework of understanding exactly what they want, and you didn't help them find a way to bring it to life. And most people are afraid to just project the number. Hey, Sally, like you're looking at doing a main floor renovation or whatever it might be. Question, do you have a budget for this project? Most people don't ask this question. Do you have a budget for this project? No, we don't. That's why you're here. Okay, well, in order for me to properly assess what we're trying to do here, I really need to find some type of budget or some type of baseline that is your threshold so that we can kind of move forward around that. And it's not that I'm going to price it to that line. It's that I want to understand, what you're comfortable with, because there's 7 different ways that we can do this. And now you project an opportunity where you can share insight on a previous project. We just did a job for, Peter last week, and it was very similar to this, or last month or last whatever. It was very similar to this, and it came in at around, $75,000. And you're just trying to listen to their reaction. You're trying to feel their reaction. If they're like, oh no, that sounds reasonable, then you would show them pictures of that job and then gauge their reaction, right? See what their interest is like. Oh, that's not what we're looking for. We're looking for something a little bit more higher end. Oh, for sure, we can handle that. But what you're trying to do is get a perception of what they're comfortable spending. And if you don't know that, and you just project it, and you spend all this time, energy thinking that you know what they want, meanwhile, you have no idea what they're comfortable spending, then you've missed that opportunity. You fumbled that component. And so they're going to get your quote and they're going to say, oh, this isn't what we're looking for. Even if it's low, they're going to say it's not what we're looking for. Or if it's high, I don't see the value in whatever this project is, And so it's really important that you communicate and you provide them with the confidence that you're delivering a solution to the problem. The biggest problem that contractors make during the initial conversation is not gathering enough information about the client's perspective. What does the client want? What is the true problem? Why are we there? What is their budget? What's their timeline? Gathering this information in that initial discussion or in that initial meeting is critical for you to understand and formulate a system. Imagine your client says, I want you to bake me a cake for my birthday. That's all the information they give you. And you bake a chocolate cake and you give the chocolate cake to them. Well, they're allergic to chocolate cake. They want a rainbow bit. And I'm trying to dumb down this situation so that you can better understand that, at the end of the day, if you don't have enough information to populate an understanding of what this person wants, then there's a high probability that you're going to lose the opportunity. So I challenge you to ask more questions, not too many questions to the point where they wonder whether or not you're capable of doing this. Ask the client confident, direct questions to show that you've done this shit before. Because if you've done it before and you know what you're doing and are capable of doing it, reverse engineer the tools and the information and the drawings and the data that you needed in order for you to actually do whatever it is that you're trying to do. So depending on what type of contractor you are, whether you're a calm contractor or a chaotic contractor, the difference is crystal clear for the client, right? And it's the way you respond to their challenges or their requests. A calm contractor or a confident contractor will respond with solutions, not defenses on, it's not bragging, it's not ego. A chaotic contractor will talk about all the other shit that they have going on. Your job is to make your client feel like they're the only customer that you have. And if you're effective with this, if you explain yourself properly in a confident manner, it will build trust and authority. Okay. A chaotic contractor will be talking about all of these different things. They'll pull up, their truck is filthy, there's shit falling out of it, or their trailer's full of shit and it's a mess. Their dashboard is filled with everything. We always have this little saying, it's Chuck in a truck, right? The chaotic contractor is essentially Chuck. He puts all of his invoices and estimates and all of his paperwork in his visor or on his dash or in his glove box. And that's how he organizes his projects. Okay. That type of contractor is also expected to be cheap. And so sometimes if you're that guy and you think that you're going to be getting this opportunity with this other client, the client actually knows that you're going to be a cheap contractor because you're just dysfunctional. And so if you present yourself like you're organized and you're calm, methodic, and you come in clean, not smelling like cigarettes, not smelling like booze, then there's a higher probability that that client will respect you. And that's as easy as it is. A smart client will see a cheap contractor from a mile away, and a smart client will see a confident, calm contractor from a mile away as well.
What's up, guys? I hope you're enjoying this episode of the Onsite Podcast. So here's the deal. We want to grow this show and we need your help. It's simple. Pay the tax, share the show. That's it. Let's get back into it.
So if you're a contractor and you struggle with anything that I've mentioned on this call, I challenge you to just try and get better. There's a book that I've read numerous times. I like to listen to audiobooks, and I have my own book as well, which you can dive into, Lead, Close, Build, Repeat. It's on Amazon. We'll post the link up in here as well. But there's a book called Atomic Habits. If you've listened to anything on this call and you have any of these challenges, Atomic Habits by James Clear is a great book, and it talks about a 1% improvement every day compounded over the next 365 days will significantly change the outcome. So the first thing is lowering your ego, okay? Lower your ego and understand that we could be better with something. Recognize that thing that you want to be better with. Understand what you're doing wrong, okay? Learn about what you could do better. Buy my book. It will help you build out the framework to understand what you're doing wrong. And when you've got this, when you understand these challenges that you're facing, understand that on the other side, the success that you want on the other side, all that it is just work. You have to build some confidence. You have to put in the work. You have to lower the ego, and you have to be consciously aware of these things that you're not doing good. I had a conversation with somebody the other day, and it was their MO to defend themselves across everything. Oh, we're doing this and we're doing that, and we've got this going on and all this kind of stuff. Nobody cares. Your client does not give a shit about all the other things that you have going on. That is not going to build confidence for your customer. Okay. So you have to check yourself, check your ego, and understand that you could be better and be more accountable. I promise you, if you compound this over the next 365 days, even a 1% increase, a 1% improvement will significantly change your outcome. That is it for today's episode. Okay. I hope you enjoyed it. And I want you to understand what the next episode is going to be about. We're going to be on episode 3, okay? This 8-part series. And we're going to be talking about the clients you want to work with and the clients you don't want to work with. Yesterday, I did a webinar with a bunch of contractors, a bunch of warriors all across North America showed up to the call with intention, had a notebook, camera on, mic on, prepared to talk, prepared to ask questions, okay? We talked about clients. We talked about different types of clients. We talked about the great client, and we talked about the clown client. Sometimes we attract shitty customers that don't respect us, and we force that project into existence. And then what happens is you compound that effect, compound and attract more of the same. That's the worst thing you can do. I know this because I've done it. I've had great clients and I've had shitty clients. And as soon as you take one shitty client, it seems like another shitty client is around the corner. When you could have said no, when you could have kept the door open for somebody else. So that's what we're going to dig into next week. We're going to dig into how to say yes and how to say no. Okay. I hope that you are enjoying these episodes. Okay. We're only on episode 2. We've got a couple more left. 1 of 8. Okay. 8 episodes. Specifically about how to regain control of opportunities completely for free. And the only reason I'm giving this out for free is because I just want to fucking help you. There are so many contractors that could be so much better if they just implemented some type of system, right? Everybody needs a different system. Everybody is a different type of person. And we all need things at different times, at different places, at different levels. But most people aren't willing to implement anything. Most people aren't willing to ask for help. They'll just go for coffee with their buddy. And they'll sit down and they'll both fucking complain about the shitty economy or this, this bad client or this and that and all this other shit. And it's all negative. Delete that shit. Surround yourself with people that are going to, instill positivity, instill confidence, instill direction. Join our community. It's literally only $49 a month. If you're really serious about 2026, what do you have to lose? You left whatever it was that you were doing to start your own business, to go on your own. Because you had pride, right? You were like, I can do this shit. The grass is greener on the other side. Well, do the fucking work because otherwise there's no point. All of this was for nothing. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I cannot wait. Episode 3 will be dropping next week. Thank you so much. Enjoy your day.
All right, that concludes this episode of the Onsite Podcast. Remember, if you enjoyed this episode, please pay the tax, share the show. Guys, if you want to be a part of the Elite Builder Society, all you got to do is pay $49 a month. That's it. $49 a month. You get 20 group coaching calls every month. Okay? Go to ebsworks.com and register today. If you enjoyed the show, please pay the tax and share the show.